Hi there, and welcome to Recruitment, Tips, Tricks, and Ethical Standards, a presentation by Solutions IRB. My name is Cassidy Nosecable, and I'm also pretty new to the IRB world, so we'll be learning this together. Before you submit your application to Solutions IRB, there are a few items we're going to need included in that application related to recruitment. The first is a detailed description of your recruitment methods, and that's all going to be listed within the application. We will need a step-by-step plan on how you're going to be recruiting participants. We're also going to need to see all of your recruitment materials, whether that's a flyer you're posting on a bulletin board or social media posts that you're putting out all across the internet. We're going to need to see any sort of material you're using for recruitment. Now, we'll also need to see any data usage agreements for shared contact lists. So if you're getting email lists and sending out a mass email, not only will we need to see the email itself, we also need to see an agreement between the organization who has that contact list and you as the researcher. Making sure you're adhering to the ethical standards required of recruitment material when doing research on human subjects is really important. So these are the do's and do nots for recruitment material to make sure you're sticking to those standards. We do want you to include the full name of your study on all of your recruitment material. You'll also want to include the name and address of the investigator or the research facility, the condition that's being studied or the purpose of the research, a summary of the criteria that will be used to determine eligibility for your participants, so exactly what categories they need to fit in order to be part of this study, a brief list of the benefits that they'll encounter from participating in your study, the time or other commitments required for those participants to be part of your study, and the location of the research and the person or office to contact for further information. Some things to not include in your recruitment material is the promise of free treatment. We don't want to be pushing anything like that. You also don't want an emphasis on compensation for participants. So if you're posting a flyer, you're not going to want in big bold letters to say earn a $50 gift card and then everything else to be in regular print. You can include compensation in your recruitment material, but it can't be emphasized in any extra way. So it needs to be the same font, the same size as all the rest of the information on that page. You also don't want an implication of favorable outcomes or other benefits outside of those listed in the consent forms. So you don't want to say, participate in this special study and you will be cured of whatever your disease is. That probably is not going to be true. So you definitely don't want to be including that in your recruitment material. And you don't want to include any exculpatory language, anything that's going to suggest that they're going to be waiving any legal rights by participating. There are several tools out there to help you recruit participants for your study, and we're going to dive into a couple of them. The first I want to talk about is utilizing email lists. This is a really helpful recruitment tool. Just remember, if you are using an email list, especially from outside of your organization that's providing the study, you're going to want to get a data usage agreement from that organization or institution and provide that to us at Solutions IRB in your application. Some of those organizations you might be getting email lists from include clinics, schools, libraries, clubs, associations, workplaces. All of these will have email lists and they might fit your target audience, so it might be something you're looking for. For example, if you're doing a survey of veterinarians, it might be the fastest, rather than looking up each individual veterinary office, it might be quicker for you to go to the Veterinary Association of the United States. They might have a massive email list that you may then have a usage agreement with them to send out an email. That would be really helpful for you in recruiting a mass amount of your target audience. If you are using these though, you are going to want to try and use encrypted email if possible. And you're going to want to ensure your email address doesn't reveal any private health information. So if you're doing a survey of people with Parkinson's disease, you aren't going to want your email address that you're sending this from to be called Parkinson's Research at Solutions IRB, because that's going to be revealing to anybody on that list that all the other people involved also have Parkinson's, and you're not going to want to reveal any of that private health information. If possible, you might also want to include a way for recipients to unsubscribe. If you're anything like me, you get dozens of emails a day, and being able to unsubscribe from the ones that don't necessarily pertain to you is very nice on a personal level, but for you as a recruiter for your study, you're not going to want people having access to your study if they don't actually fit that criteria. So just having a way for them to unsubscribe will save you a lot of time in the long run. Things you want to include in your IRB application are the source of the email lists. Again, you're going to want to provide those data usage agreements, the frequency of the emails that you're sending out, and your target population. Those are all really important items to include within that IRB application. Social media is another very popular recruitment tool that we see at Solutions IRB. And just keep in mind, while social media is a very casual platform that a lot of us use every day, your posts when it comes to recruitment for research will be held to the same standards as traditional news ads and flyers. So again, you're not going to want to, highlight compensation. You're going to be wanting to follow all those do's and don'ts we talked about previously. Social media is great though because you can reach a really wide audience for this, but keep in mind that also comes with the fact that anyone can forward your material to anyone else. So you're going to want to make sure that you have protocols in place to ensure that only the target group is successfully recruited. So maybe this is a small survey they have to fill out before they can even get close to signing up, and that survey might say, are you 18 and older? Are you a smoker? Because my study is about smokers. Just having those two questions might help kind of narrow down that list of people because, again, it can reach a huge audience, but that might not be the target audience. Kind of throwing in here with social media are Craigslist ads. We see those often, and you're going to really want to make sure that when you are posting an ad on Craigslist that you're not doing it in the seeking employment section of Craigslist. We do consider that coercive recruitment, and that's a big no-no. So make sure you're really careful with your Craigslist ads or any of your social media ads and that you are adhering to the same standards that you would need for news ads or flyers. And you want to be really specific in your application about which social media and which websites you're posting on and how they're going to be posted. So if you're making social media posts on Instagram, we want you to be specific. Are you making those as actual posts? Are you posting those as stories? How exactly are you reaching this audience? We want to know every dirty detail. Recruiting services are a very handy, user-friendly tool for getting a mass amount of people for your study. If you're looking to get, 1,000 or several hundred people for your study, this might be a really good way to connect with the exact subjects that are already interested in participating in your research. Basically, the way these work is people interested in participating in research come to them, and researchers come to them, and they just work like a matching tool. They will help you find the right participants for your study. So they're going to do a lot of that groundwork for you. It does cost some money to do this, but if you have extra money in your budget, it's a really helpful tool for getting large amounts of participants. IRBs exist for the sole purpose of protecting human participants in research. That's why we are going to be very strict on the ethical standards when it comes to recruitment. The easiest way to make sure you're following those ethical standards is to remember those do's and don'ts of recruitment that we talked about earlier. You'll want to be wary of any misleading wording in your recruitment material. You're definitely going to want to watch out for coercive compensation. And kind of a good rule of thumb and a really easy guide to go by is that if you're not listing it in your consent documentation that your participants have to sign to be in your study, then you're not going to want to list it in your recruitment material. Another very important note is that you cannot start your recruitment or post any recruitment material before your IRB application is approved. That can lead to your study being denied right out the gate, and that's just going to cause a lot of problems down the line. So definitely make sure you're not starting that recruitment until after your application is approved. You're also going to want to make sure that you aren't recruiting in any ways outside of what you included in your approved application. If you do need to start recruiting in a different way than what you included in your application, you can submit an amendment, and once that is approved, then you can start doing that new recruitment method that you didn't include. But an easy way to avoid that is to just give us every detail and every possible way that you might be doing recruitment in the application right off the bat. Thank you so much for watching today, and if you have any questions for us or want to learn more, feel free to visit solutionsirb.com or email us at correspondence@solutionsirb.com. Thank you.